G'day and welcome to another episode of Kiwi Car Life. And a little while ago, I remember at Honda we traded in an Alfa 159 with the 3.2 litre V6 engine, and I took it home and naturally decided to film a video. And having never driven or even really seen an Alfa up close, I was actually pleasantly surprised at how good it was. And I've been told that these older 156s, especially with a manual transmission like this, are that little bit more sporty. So today we're going to be seeing what this legendary Alfa is like. In terms of exterior styling, these are very odd looking cars. They kind of have this weird sort of coupe body line to them, even though they have 4 doors. And at the front, they're sort of unusual looking lights with that number plate on the side with the triangle shaped grille. It's just a very odd look. The interior for a 2003 car is okay. Look, there were a few things that I like about it. The gauges look really cool. They're very sort of Ferrari-esque. And the 3 little dials across the dashboard here do also look really cool as well. The steering wheel feels great, and the manual change on this is actually not half bad. It's reasonably direct. The seats are quite comfortable. I guess the only thing that sort of lets it down a little bit is with it now getting a little bit old, stuff like the indicators and a lot of these buttons here for the central climate control stuff, they just feel very Italian, shall we say. But overall, it's a reasonably spacious, reasonably comfortable, and okay built interior, especially for the time period. The engine fitted to this particular 156 is the legendary Busso V6. There's a funny story behind this engine, actually. Well, sad story, to be honest. The guy who designed it, Busso, he designed it back in the 1970s, and Alfa used this engine right up until 2003 and maybe even a little later on. But sadly, the very last engine was produced on some particular day in the early 2000s, and the day after, the guy who designed it passed away. But in terms of the actual specifications of the engine, it's got 193 horsepower, 142 kilowatts, so about the same as a stock Accord Euro, if that's what you're looking to compare it to, as a lot of my fans no doubt do. It's front-wheel drive. It's paired with a delightful 6-speed manual transmission, and I'm told that especially with a pod filter like this one has, they sound absolutely fantastic. So I guess all that's left to do is find out if that's the case. Driving the Alfa Romeo 156. First thing I notice, the turning circle is terrible, but the engine, let's see. But yep, I have no doubt in my mind that that's a 190 horsepower engine. If anything, it almost feels a bit more than that. Oh, and in typical Alfa fashion, oh no, I've just lost the shift knob. Let me give you a sit rep on the situation here. The shift knob's already fallen off. I'm trying to get that back on. It is so hot in here and I can't fathom any of the climate control. Produce cold air, please. Quite quiet, but man, this thing goes, man. This thing has got some power. I mean, it's not on the level of some other cars that I've been reviewing this weekend, like the RS4 along here. That was absolutely insane, but it goes good and it's got great torque. I'm actually really impressed. The transmission has very long throws, which does sort of make changing gears quickly challenging, and it's a little bit vague, I have to admit, and the clutch sort of is quite slow to come back up again, so it's a little tricky to kind of get it into gear and so on. But once you do, oh yeah, that is nice. And it actually rides surprisingly sportily as well. Like, it's actually quite sort of nimble feeling, which I really like. And the torque is amazing. Look at that. It just really just hauls along these straights here, which is so nice. Oh, it's so smooth when you go through the gears. And the steering feels actually really nice as well. I presume it must be hydraulic. It kind of has that feeling to it. But I know what the front end is doing. It's actually really good. Oh, it's so nice, man. I'm actually really impressed with the performance of this thing. I thought, you know, 2.5 litre engine, it's not exactly a huge motor, and I certainly know stock Accord Euros are not especially fast cars, but this thing actually goes really good. Great torque, great noise. It's nice, man. It actually handles really good. Clings on mighty well. I suppose, I mean, this is Alfa's answer to like the BMW 325i in a way, and I guess the disadvantage it has in that regard is that it's front wheel drive, which perhaps does take away some of the more balanced and fun driving elements that BMWs tend to have. But it's comfortable, it rides well, the engine sounds great, it makes good power, it's got good gear ratios. Really nice torque, very, very good throttle response. Overall, I mean, for a car that you can pick up for not very much money at all, because most people sort of don't really know what these are and probably think that they're really unreliable, which in the case of this owner, he says he's had basically no problems, which is quite impressive for a 20-year-old Italian car. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching this episode of Kiwi Car Life. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see my 159 review, then click on the link popping up right about now. I'll post some other videos up here as well. And I will very much look forward to seeing you again next time.